Okay, I'm back. And today I am going to talk a little bit about fuel pumps. I have a fuel pump here out of a Ford pickup truck. Intermittently having issues with pump pressure, probably overheating the fuel pump and creating a pump pressure issue with the vehicle. And these new Fords, they have pressure sensors on the fuel rail so they can tell if the pump pressure is low or out of range or whatever. But this one, it gets it's junk in the fuel. And a lot of your gas stations, they can't help it, but the tank sweat, moisture, condensation, whatever, it's just a common issue. It happens. There ain't no way around it. But I'm going to show you, I've got a fuel pump out. I got it apart, and I'm going to show you what's down in the basin of the fuel pump. Now the fuel pump is soaked. It's submerged in fuel, and the fuel is what keeps it cool. Believe it or not, I know it's crazy to think something that can explode and it's an electrical device, but it's a brushless motor, so or a vane pump, whatever. There's all kinds of different styles of pumps, but they're submerged and they're designed to stay cool with the fuel. That's why when you run your car low in fuel all the time, you have a greater chance of overheating the pump, and then you have issues. So, you know, that's why you have to keep it topped off or keep the tank full as much as you possibly can. And a lot of times the pumps go out after they've been filled up. I don't know if that's just the shock of cool gas or I don't know. It happens. This one particularly was filled up and then started acting kind of funny. But I pulled it out and I'll show you firsthand what it looks like inside. Okay, here we go. See down inside this basin? Look at all the junk, all the black buildup of residue and stuff. And also, look at the screen. Look how brown the screen looks. It's been picked up horrible sediment. And then there's even a screen inside where the pump stays. Look how nasty that thing is. You know, brown, rust. And inside the tank is pretty good because it's a plastic tank. But this pump submerges inside this basin right here, and it screws on the top with these screws. You'll see a screw here, here, and here. And so this stays inside here, and it's always encapsulated. And the idea is to keep this little tank full of fuel to keep the pump cool. That way, if you do run it low, it's still submerged in its own cavity of fuel. So just always remember, don't run them low in fuel. It really does hurt the fuel pumps. Okay, so that's a little bit of fuel pump talk for the day. I just had it on my mind, so I wanted to share it with everybody. The differences of why they go bad, for what reason they're in the tank. But just remember, they've been around a long time. They've been in the tanks for a long time too. They first came out on the frame rail, and the frame rail just wasn't adequate enough. They overheated, they failed. The failure rate was incredible. You'd only get about 40,000 miles out of them or so. And it really depends on, you know, where you lived in the country. If you lived in a state that stayed cool all the time, obviously the duty cycle would go up. But then the OEs, GM, Ford, Chrysler, they started realizing that in the tank was the best place to put them because they're submerged in its own fuel. The fuel keeps it cool, and in some way, a little bit lubricated, I'd say. But, you know, just remember, when you replace the fuel pump, always replace the inline filter, replace the screens on the pump. Take your time, know what you're doing. The quick disconnects, always make sure there's no leak after you fire it up. Prime the key a couple times. But, you know, just know that these things, they fail, and they fail because rust and moisture getting in them from getting gas from different places. And it happens, but always remember, don't run your car low in fuel. Try to keep it topped off, because that's what keeps them cool. But until the next time, remember, I'm an honest man trying to run an honest business.